Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
During a Liberal-made inflationary crisis, Canadians are having a hard time choosing between heating their homes and feeding their families. And we found out today that instead of having the backs of Canadians, they're helping Liberal insiders get rich. The Liberal International Trade Minister was caught red-handed and found guilty of breaking ethics laws by giving a sweetheart contract to her friend, the CBC pundit Amanda Alvaro. Will the minister resign?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Commissioner for his important role in ensuring transparency and accountability in our institutions. And as the report indicates, I take full responsibility for my actions. I should have recused myself, and I apologize for not doing so. At no time was there any intention for anyone to benefit inappropriately. My efforts fell short of my own high personal standard for transparency and accountability, which Canadians have a right to expect from their elected officials. I'm sorry, and it won't happen again. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk, Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, if the Trade Minister was truly sorry, she'd pay the money back. In fact, she is the fourth Liberal Cabinet Minister to be found guilty of breaking the law by the Ethics Commissioner. The Trade Minister got caught giving 2 sweetheart deals to her friend who also worked on her campaign. Now, the Ethics Commissioner said there's simply no excuse for contracting with a friend's company. After Bill Marno got caught, he did the honourable thing and resigned. Will the Trade Minister follow suit and resign immediately, or does the Prime Minister have to fire this corrupt minister?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I have taken and I am taking full responsibility for my actions. I should have recused myself, and I'm sincerely sorry for not having done so. What I want Canadians to know is that this will not happen again.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of International Trade said that she's accepting the full responsibility for her actions. What does that mean, accept the full responsibility in this House, Mr. Speaker? It means to do something, not just say that you're sorry, but you also have to assume this responsibility. She abused of her power to give a $20 million contract to her Liberal friends. Is the forced Liberal minister to be caught by the Commissioner? It's inexcusable to conclude a contract with her friend, and now she can do the only right thing and step down.
The Honourable House Leader.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The minister has already offered an apology. It's obvious there was no personal benefit at stake. The minister only accepted all the recommendations, and she's already answered the question. The Honourable Member for Dorval-Lachine-LaSalle. Mr. Speaker, it's important for Canadians to know that our justice system is fair, accessible, and effective, and that includes the judiciary. Can the Minister of Justice explain why Bill C-9, recently passed unanimously by this House, is an essential step in achieving this goal? Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Justice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for LaSalle-Lachine Dorval. I'm very proud, Mr. Speaker, of the unanimous passage of Bill C-9. It sends a very clear signal. We take our responsibility to the justice system seriously. Our government's proposed amendments to the Judges Act will strengthen the process for dealing with complaints against federally appointed judges, and it will give the Canadian Judicial Council greater authority to deal with complaints, to ensure that the complaints process results in final decisions that are fair and timely at a reasonable cost. We will work with the other place to ensure the adoption.
For Calgary Nose Hill.
Mr. Speaker, startling Environment Canada reports show that Canadian greenhouse gas emissions have dramatically increased under the Liberals. That's because they failed to build public transit projects that would pull cars off the road. They failed to provide non-emitting sources of electricity to places that really need it. and they've crushed Canadian energy producers who are world leaders in decarbonizing energy production. The carbon tax isn't reducing emissions, but it sure is making Canadians poorer and less energy secure. When will the Liberals cancel it?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as usual, the Conservatives are spreading misinformation, Mr. Speaker. We are on track to meet our targets, which are in 2030, Mr. Speaker. And what did they do when they were in power, Mr. Speaker? Well, they did absolutely nothing for 10 years. They blew up our emissions quotas in the Kyoto Accord. They cut $350 million from the environment and climate change budget. They gutted our environmental laws, Mr. Speaker, and now they're blaming us for their inaction. They have no plan for climate change. They have no plan for the economy, and they certainly have no plan for affordability, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
The Liberals use the term misinformation to try to gaslight anyone who uses facts to counter their narrative, and that's wrong. And there's one inconvenient truth that the Liberals want Canadians to forget when it comes to the fight against climate change, and that's that the only government where Canadian greenhouse gas emissions actually decreased was the last Conservative government. We had a decrease we had a balanced budget. The economy was growing. They have doubled the debt and increased greenhouse gas emissions. When will they cancel the